Hello there, folks. Hey, this is Joe Wazoo here. Hey, I got a really cool video today. We've been testing some UDP comms between a couple Redline devices, and then we're also pulling in a Leuze scanner device here for this application. So first off, I want to show you, I'm doing UDP communications here. What that means is that over in communications, I'm using a raw serial driver called UDP. So under System, raw UDP driver, that's what I'm using there. And I'm also using that on protocol 2 here, the same exact driver. I want you to notice in this application that on protocol 1, which is port number 4 right here, I'm using the UDP port of 1234. That's the Ethernet 1 connector that's on this FlexEdge DA70. And then protocol 2, I'm using UDP port 5634 to talk to that thing. And I'm going to go through a few of these things. But that's what I'm doing in this demo. First off, when I started this project, I wanted to try UDP comms between two Redline devices, something simple. I got a little example database for them to play with. And so that's the first thing I'm doing. And that is I'm going to take data from the DA70 and send it over to the DA50 as well. So I have the same exact program here running on the DA50. Let me back up further here. On device configuration here, just want you to know that Ethernet 1 on this unit is set up as IP address 192.168.100.70. I'm not using Ethernet 2, but it's the fixed default. That's fine. I'm only using Ethernet 1 for this. Yep, so that's .70. If I open up the database for the DA50, let me make this smaller so you can see the whole thing. This is the database that's running on the DA50. I want you to notice that the DA50 in this case, Ethernet 1 is set up as 100.50. So that follows exactly what I'm doing on my web page here. Well, let me go back to this program here. So on display pages, you can see that I'm listing some things here for the different IP addresses. And the Leuze device is 100.10. That's what I got from the customer. I'm not going to change that IP address. So let's first play with sending data from here over to this guy. So if I go look at the display pages, I have a button here on this page. It's called Send Data to the DA50. And if I right click on that button, go to Properties, I want you to see that on the Action tab, it's just calling this function right here on pressed. I should have did it down here, but on pressed, it's going to call that program. So if I go over here to Programs on the right side, and if I go ahead and look at this program, Send Data to DA50, here is the little C program that's running on this thing. Notice that port number 4, P equals number 4, that's the port number. I got a message. Here's the string I want to send. It's just a 1 through 10 or 0 here. Here's the IP address of the DA50. I'm going to write that to the port. And then I also got to put on here some target port for the device. So over at the DA50, that target port is using 1234. And then I do some more of the magic down here with the string, and then I send out the thing. So when I click that button, it's going to execute that particular code. Okay. And then over at the DA50, here, I have a same exact program here, but anyway, I have a program here called Receive Data. So it's going to look at port 4. When it sees a string come in, it's going to go analyze that string and find out the pertinent data. So if you study UDP traffic, you'll see that the header of it has some IP addresses, port numbers, and so forth as it sends across. So this is going to take that data that hopefully it receives and put it on the display page that we can see. So that's what we're doing here. I just want you to see that on this guy, the DA50, it's using UDP port 1234. Okay, so again, the DA70 is using the exact same settings. For protocol 1, 1234, right there. And it's going to use the program receive data. So let's watch this happen. So if I go here to the web page, I'm going to open up both web pages for the DA70 and the DA50. Notice the header here, DA70, DA50. So I click the FlexEdge comms test here. Takes me to this page. Now, both pages are identical. This one's yellow in the background. This one's white. This is from the DA70. This is from the DA50. So when I push this button, it's going to execute the send string, and we should see the data over here show up on the DA50. Let's push it 1, 2, 3. Look, there it is. There's the ASCII equivalents of the 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever number, and there's the raw text. You'll notice here the header put in all this stuff here. including the receive text. So that went from the FlexEdge, the DA70, over to the DA50. Now over here at the DA50, I can do the exact same thing and press this button, and it's going to send it. Oh, I need to change that arrow. The arrow's going the wrong way. I'll fix that later. That arrow's supposed to go the other way. Anyway, so yeah, this is, yeah, I'm going to change that arrow. But anyway, when I push this button, it's going to send it over here, and you can see it populated here. So that's exactly what I want to do. I tested my UDP comms there. Perfect, works good. So now the next thing is I want to test this with the Leuze device. And this guy is some kind of scanner thing here. So before I go test that, let me open up their software. So here's the Leuze software they have. And here's the IP address of that unit. There's the port number on the sensor, 908. And then my port on my laptop here is going to be 5634 when I fire this up. So I've already pressed accept, but I'll do it again. You can see there, check connectivity, and it works, so it's good. So if I hit this button here, it's going to turn on the scanner, and we should start to get data in this window here populate. So as I move my hand around the scanner, you can see it's populating with some values and so forth. It's working great. So I'm using their software here to show that. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn this off, turn off that connection there. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yep. So I'm going to go turn this off. I don't need to transmit, I'll just turn it off. So I move my hand, I'm no longer pulling it with that. Now if I go back to the red line software, or not software, but the web page for the DA70, if I click on this comms test here, notice everything's blank right here, okay? But I have to send it a command. And so in the database for the DA70 over here in programs, I have a command structure, and I read the manual a little bit. Actually, I used Wireshark to capture this, but I used a manual, and I've got here a buffer, 30 bytes of data that will send that across. I also went in and filled it all in here, and this follows their manual for all of the stuff here in the Leuze manual. So I labeled all of those following this right here. So in crimson, that's what I did here all the way down to data byte 29 or byte 30, because it's 0 through 29 is 30. So when I have that set up over here, that data string, I have 30 characters or 30 elements set up for it. So that's what it is. So this is the string that I need to load to send to that guy to get it to start polling. So if I go back to my web page here, so when I push this button here, it's going to set those up in here and read them, those values right here, 255, FF. So this is a different way to show it. But that loads that now. So now when I hit the send data, it's going to send this string to the unit, and we should start to get data here populated. Let's take a look. Here we go. There you go. And as I move my hand in front of this, I'm getting different numbers. I'm only showing 240 bytes of this thing. I think it sends across 782 bytes, I believe. Yeah. So anyway, that is the Leuze scanner talking to the red line unit, and got it up and running. Here's something interesting I want to show you. If I go back to the main page here, and if I go look at, say, the FlexEdge one here, you're actually seeing the string down here. The same exact thing. I'm using the same function block between the two received data. I'm using the same data bytes here. So if I go back to Crimson, go over here to Programs, Receive Data, this is the first one I was doing with the DA50, and this is the one from the Leuze. The only real difference, well, there isn't a difference actually. It's populating the same data byte there. So, I guess there is one difference. The difference is on communications, for the Leuze device, I'm calling this program here when it updates on that particular port, and this one here is the DA50 one. So anyway, I'm using the same program, but that's all right. But that's what you're seeing that's running here. So this is the cheater page, and then if I go main, go look at the Leuze page, there's the data coming through from the Leuze scanner. So that's how to do UDP comms between two red line devices or to something else. If you want to copy these databases, please don't be afraid to send me a note. I'll certainly share them with you for example. Hey, thanks a lot, folks. Have yourself a great day. Actually, one more thing I was going to show you. In here, the only thing I couldn't figure out, team, is how to send a stop command here. So I was trying to figure out the stop command, and I hadn't figured that out yet, but that's something to ponder in the Leuze manual of how to do a stop command. Anyway, hey, thanks a lot, team. Have yourself a great day. I certainly will. This was a lot of fun. See ya.